So what is money? Well, money is anything that is generally accepted in payment for goods and services or in the repayment of debt. It can be anything. So, well, that really spreads it out. So let's in our attempt to figure out what exactly is money, let's look at what money does. What are the things that money does? So here's the functions of money. Functions of money. Well, first of all, it's a medium of exchange. And that's usually what we think of when we think of money. It's used to pay for goods and services. It promotes economic efficiency by keeping transactions costs low. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, transactions have a cost to them. And we don't really think about it because with money, transaction costs are very low. What's the alternative to using money? Well, we can exchange goods for each other. I've got some apples, you've got some cherries. Hey, I'll trade you some apples for some of your cherries. That's called barter trade. The alternative is barter. Barter trade, let's try that again. Well, that's not very good. Barter is the exchange of one good for another. Now, here's the problem with barter, and this is why all but the most backward economies, societies have developed some form of money, is because barter trade is extremely expensive. First of all, you've got to find someone who has what you want. And someone who has what you want and they at the same time want what you have. That's called a double coincidence of wants. And then you have to agree on an exchange rate. 2 apples for a pound of cherries, or 1 apple for a pound of cherries, or whatever. If I want a tennis racket, and I've got basketballs, I've got to find someone who has tennis rackets who wants basketballs, or who wants my cherries or oranges. This is extremely time-consuming. And all that time and effort into making exchanges could have gone into producing goods and services. So that will lower economic efficiency if you have to spend a lot of your time just finding opportunities to make trades. Okay, so again, even the most primitive economies, I guess all but the very, 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 very most primitive, have come up with some form of money. Stones have been money. Precious metals. In prisoner of war camps especially, cigarettes became the medium of exchange. And even those prisoners who didn't smoke sure kept their allotment of cigarettes each month. What they'd do is they'd sit on them till the end of the month, till the smokers smoked all theirs, and guess what happened to the value of their money? Went up. Okay, the smokers were willing to pay a little more for those cigarettes. Whiskey has been money. Beads. There's just been all kinds of things that have been money. Well, money that has an alternative use, say a precious metal, is called commodity money. it actually can be used for something. Okay. Okay, commodity money. Um, if money, say the silver there used to be silver in our dimes, our 10-cent dimes. But if the silver got to be more valuable for alternative uses, guess what happens to the dimes? There are no dimes left. Would you spend a dime that's worth more than a dime for the silver that's in it? No. And so they stopped putting actual silver in dimes. So, and then money, as an economy becomes more and more advanced, they go to something called fiat money. And that has no alternative uses. No alternative uses for fiat money. Fiat money is what we got today. We got these pieces of paper. What can you use those pieces of paper for other than to use, as money? Well, there is no other use. And that's why we use them, is because you don't have to worry about the actual money being worth more elsewhere than its stated value. Another function of money is it is a unit of account. A unit of account, well, it's a scorekeeping mechanism. You go to the store and it says Captain Crunch, $2.50. Right there. There's a number on there. That's a unit of account. And financial statements. You want to see what company to buy. Buy shares of stock. You can see how much revenue they brought in, how many expenses, and their profit. All that's denominated in money. That is money functioning as a unit of account. Now, the barter system requires many prices. Okay, I said you go to the store and you get your Crunch Berries, $2.50. Can you imagine a barter system? Crunch Berries would have to be priced in terms of every other good. It'd be, a pound of cherries, 5 apples, a bag of flour. It's just, it'd have to have a price, a long, enormous list and you'd have to look up your price of what good you brought to trade. So again, extreme inefficiency with a barter system. Again, that's why virtually every society's come up with some money, even the most primitive. I said all but the most primitive, but you know what? I should state that. All the really, really, really most primitive. So even if it's stones or something else, because of the tremendous inefficiency of barter trade. Well, the other function of money, last one, it's a store of value. A store of value, meaning you don't have to spend it all today. It keeps its value. You can spend it tomorrow or next year. So there's a store of value. Now, in times of high inflation, when prices are rising quickly, it's not a very good store of value. So we've all heard of the hyperinflation in Germany, and after the war, World War I, and that which is, by the way, what helped Hitler get into power. People were desperate. They had a savior, right? All politicians are saviors. And Well, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I think I'm getting a little, whoops, ahead of myself. But it was, we're going to cover inflation in the next chapter. So I want to leave something to talk about then. But anyway, it was going up around 1,000% per month. And that's not a good store of value. But anyway, more about that later. So, stores of value. Well, there are lots of better stores of value. Stocks, bonds, real estate, art, all those things. Precious metals may or may not, be better stores of value than money. But we typically, when we're looking for a store of value, we go to something like that, and rather than money. So, why hold money at all if it's only a so-so store of value? And the reason is liquidity. Liquidity is the ease and speed of converting something into money. And, try to take a share of stock to this grocery store. Take a stock certificate to the grocery store and try to pay your groceries with it. Tell them. You could even show them the stock price that day. You say, you know what, the stock closed today. This share of stock is worth $75.27. And you could show the person at the checkout, and guess what? They're not going to take it. So you're going to have to convert that share of stock into money, into a medium of exchange, so you can go to the store. Okay. Now, stocks are fairly liquid in stocks that trade on the New York Stock Exchange. Lesser markets, maybe not so liquid, over-the-counter markets, some of those. Real estate, not very liquid. You don't want to have to liquidate your house to be able to go and buy some groceries. That's just not a very, very wise thing to do. So, we all need some liquidity, so we're going to hold some of our assets in the form of money. Okay, well, now that we've covered what money does, okay, or what it is and what it does, yeah, it's stuff that, medium of exchange, that's what it does. It's a unit of account, it's a store of value. Now we're going to figure out what is money. What do we have floating around out there that we consider money? And so we're going to focus on the things that money does in figuring out what is money. Now, the first measure of money, we're going to focus on the medium of exchange and the most liquid things out there. And we're going to call that M1. M1 is, well, things that are M1. Currency. Okay, take out $1 in your pocket and your quarter, and that is M1, the most liquid form of money used for transactions and so forth. And checking deposits. Well, checking deposits, often called demand deposits, because these are payable upon demand. You go to the bank and they have to give you your money. If you've got money in your checking account, they can't hold it up. They have to give it to you. So that is called a demand deposit or a checking deposit. Well, traveler's checks, so you don't see those much anymore. Traveler's checks. Used to use those for traveling overseas mainly, or traveling around the country. But nowadays with credit cards, I don't think you see those much. I certainly haven't used them in ages, and I don't know if, I guess they still have them. See if I learn how to talk and write at the same time. Okay. Well, that's M1. Now, for M2, our second category of money, we're focusing more on the little less liquid, little more store of value function of money. Okay? So, here's the tricky part. M2 includes M1. Remember that. It's M1 plus savings accounts. Okay. Savings accounts. You can't spend a savings account. Show the checker out at Wegmans your passbook savings account, your little book there. Show them the money's in there. Good luck spending it. You're going to have to transfer money from a savings account into your checking account or whatever, or it might be done automatically. Okay? That's why it's included as money, because it's really easy to do. Okay. And money market mutual funds. Now, we talked about mutual funds in the last, the chapter on the financial system. And this is a special type of mutual fund. It invests in money market instruments. These are short-term bonds issued by the best corporations, mostly the federal government. These are treasury bonds, treasury bills, treasury notes, or AAA-rated corporations will be in there as well. Very short term. And these are considered to be extremely safe. But the reason that's put in there as money is because you actually can spend these. You can write a check. Usually there's a minimum amount. You don't use it just as a regular checking account. It's usually around $250 is your minimum. So you don't pay the kid who mows your lawn from a money market checking account or money market mutual fund. But those were, are, I should say, a very important part of M2. And popular ways to store cash is in money market mutual funds because they're very liquid and you get, higher interest than you normally would out of a savings account. And short-term certificates of deposit. Okay, these are certificates on loan where you lend money to your bank or you deposit your money in the bank for a given term, and you lock it up. And because you lock it up for a while, these CDs are pay higher interest. And there's usually a early withdrawal penalty. So, but the short-term ones are close enough to liquidity that they are considered money. Now, anything beyond that is too far removed, too illiquid, too far removed from the medium of exchange function of money to be considered money. If we go along that continuum, well, long-term CDs, the short-term ones are in there, long-term ones are not. If you go long-term, they're considered just a little too far removed to be considered money. Bonds, a corporate bond, treasury bond, even though money market mutual funds has those in the portfolio, you can't spend a treasury bond. Again, take the treasury bond to the store and try to spend it. Not going to happen. So money market mutual funds are in there because you write checks on them. Okay. And stocks, no. Again, too far into the store of value function, too far away from liquidity. So we pretty much have right here M1, the most liquid and focusing on medium of exchange. M2, it includes M1, but adds savings accounts, money market mutual funds, short-term CDs. Okay. Now the question is often asked, well, wait a minute here. I always pay with a debit card. Why aren't debit cards here? Well, because debit cards are the same as that's your checking. I mean, where's the money come from? From a debit card. It comes out of your checking account. So keep in mind that they're one and the same. How about credit cards? And the answer is a big no. They're not. Credit cards aren't money. You say, well, I use those all the time. When I go to the store, I use a credit card, then I pay, I pay it off in full. And if you do that, make sure you pay it off in full, or you're going to pay a fortune and interest and fees. It's a dangerous game, but if you do it, make sure you pay it off full amount every month on time. And that's fine if you do that. And if you don't spend more than you otherwise would. There's a lot of downfall to that, but if you play the game, just know the rules. But that's not money. Okay, that's not money. And here's why. Okay, here's you. Here's the store. And what do? You go to the store and you give them your credit card number. And the store gives you your stuff. Okay? There you are. Oh, if it only stopped there. What a great world we live in. However, the store, unfortunately, sends that credit card number over to the bank that issues the credit card, and the bank pays the store money. Okay. Or they might just credit their account, probably done with a number. There we are with the unit of account function of money. Either way, same thing, same thing. And then what? Well, if it stopped there, life would still be good, right? But then the bank sends you a bill, and you need to send the bank some money, a check or whatever. Maybe you pay online. Unit of account, right? So, there you go. Credit cards are a means of payment. It facilitates transactions, but they're not money. Money is used to settle these accounts, but the credit card itself is not considered money. Okay.